In this video, we're going to reveal how Michael Corleone exposed Senator Geary, a politician who believed himself morally superior but ended up revealing himself as nothing more than a braggart. Because the Don didn't just change the game, he exposed Geary's true face. Get ready for an analysis that will change the way you see these characters. Senator Pat Giri is a character who represents the hypocrisy of political power and the underlying corruption. His attempt to extort Michael Corleone, despite being someone who should uphold a higher moral code, reveals several layers of his character and the relationship between the government and organized crime. Let's take a closer look. From the beginning of the film, Geary shows a deep disdain for Michael and his family. He sees the Corleones as foreigners and mobsters invading the respectable territory of American elites. That contempt might explain his hesitation during the speech. His difficulty pronouncing the names of Michael and Kay can be seen as a reflection of that disdain. Even in a public moment where he is expected to show respect, this reinforces the idea that, at that point, he still underestimates Michael's power and doesn't truly see him as part of the academic and political elite. Geary is the personification of the respectable politician, maintaining the posture of a public man committed to the common good. He wears formal suits, speaks articulately, and projects an image of authority and responsibility, always with an air of seriousness in his official duties. His appearance is carefully crafted to make him seem like a man of traditional values, faithful to his wife and committed to public morality. In public events, Geary maintains the image of a man devoted to his family, especially his wife, suggesting he leads a stable and exemplary life. He acts as if he is above any moral reproach, always defending a code of ethics that should serve as a model for behavior. In the Don's office, he sees himself as superior to Michael, both in terms of social status and political power. He believes that, as a senator, he has the authority to extort Michael for a high sum of money in exchange for a license, seeing him as a criminal who must comply with his demands. This view is distorted, as he fails to recognize the complexity of Michael's position and influence by seeing Michael only as a criminal. Geary dehumanizes him, making it easier to justify his demands and extortion. He believes that this is the proper way to treat a mobster. This dehumanization allows him to ignore the nuances of Michael's personality and his skill as a leader and businessman. To Geary, Michael is not a worthy rival but a criminal who must be controlled, or else punished by the law. He uses his position as a senator as a weapon, insinuating he can use his influence to hinder Michael's business if he doesn't comply. This approach reveals Geary's corrupt and manipulative nature, as he feels comfortable using his office to intimidate. The senator doesn't just attempt to extort Michael, he also allows himself to insult the Corleone family with disdain. He makes comments implying that Michael and his family are irrefutably criminals and that their actions are somehow representative of a heritage of immorality. In doing so, Geary represents a xenophobic mindset common in certain political and social circles, especially in 1950s America. He shows a general contempt for immigrants and their descendants, often associating them with criminal behavior and immorality. When Michael responds that his family has nothing to do with this, he is defending not only himself but also his family's honor. This response is important because it shows that Michael will not tolerate attacks on his family, even from someone as powerful as a senator. Michael's response also serves as a warning to Geary. He makes it clear that offenses will not be accepted and that, by attacking his family, Geary has crossed a line. This moment could be seen as Geary's last chance to redeem himself for the offense. Had he shown some respect or humility, it might have opened the door to a more respectful dialogue with Michael. Instead, Geary continues to behave condescendingly, which leads to the deterioration of his position relative to Michael. Tom Hagen senses the gravity of the situation and how the senator's words have crossed an unacceptable line. He knows this offense will not go unpunished, and his expression reflects concern about what that might mean, because the senator dared to threaten Michael at his most ruthless and impatient stage, ready to do whatever it takes to protect his family. Geary's offense not only provokes Michael's anger but also reveals his determination not to let anyone dishonor his loved ones. As Geary prepares to leave, Michael watches him with a look that conveys a mix of contempt and resolve. That look, often referred to as the death stare that follows him throughout the film, reveals Michael's deep indignation at Geary's offense. He replies to the senator saying he already had his answer and that the price would be nothing, affirming his control over the situation. He doesn't see the senator as a threat but as someone about to discover he has no power over him. This dynamic not only humiliates Giri but also reinforces Michael's image as a ruthless man who doesn't hesitate to assert his will. Rather than being a criminal at the mercy of a politician, Michael shows that, in his view, it is Giri who must pay the price. This turns the negotiation into a power game where Michael clearly holds the upper hand, challenging the narrative that politicians have the advantage. Neri's presence, also observing the scene, adds another layer of tension. His expression of astonishment shows that he understands the gravity of the situation. The scene in which Michael arranges the murder of the prostitute with whom Senator Pat Geary spent the night is one of the darkest moments in the film. The decision is not just a demonstration of power but also a sign of Michael's deep moral corruption. Neri plays a key role in executing Michael's order to eliminate the prostitute and incriminate Senator Geary. Michael's decision to use the prostitute as a chess piece reveals his cunning. Neri, knowing what is necessary to make this strategy work, ensures everything is done in a way that traps Giri in his own hypocrisy. By doing this, he helps turn the senator's offense into a burden he must carry. This makes Giri face not only the legal consequences but also public shame and exposure of his own questionable morality. It places him in a vulnerable position, tying him more tightly to Michael and his demands. Tom suggests that, as the family's lawyer, he can clean up Giri's situation, implying that he can use his contacts and influence to make sure the scandal doesn't go public. This approach reveals Tom's confidence in the Corleone family's ability to manipulate situations in their favor, even when lives are at stake. It's a demonstration of the power dynamics that permeate both the political and criminal worlds. In trying to help Giri, Tom's attempt to help Giri reveals not only the senator's weakness but also Tom's cleverness and complexity within the Corleone family structure. Later in the film, under the family's control in Cuba, Giri joins Fredo and indulges in an environment of excess. This contrast highlights the character's duality. While trying to appear morally superior, he gives into irresponsible and hedonistic behavior. When Giri is introduced at the beginning of the film, his voice is firm, and his posture that of a respectable politician. However, in Cuba, as he gives into the excesses of the party, his voice loses that confidence. He becomes hesitant, and his words are filled with arrogance and superficiality, reflecting his unstable emotional state. This vocal change is a clear sign that he no longer controls his public image. This change in his behavior highlights the hypocrisy of his role as a politician, showing that he is not the moralist he pretends to be, but rather a man driven by selfish desires and basic instincts. This event marks Giri's transformation from a confident aggressor to a pawn in Michael's hands. Later in the film, in court, Giri adopts a much more submissive tone, even defending the Italian-American community, reflecting that he is now under Michael's control and needs to protect his own reputation. In the end, Giri becomes an example of Michael's power to manipulate and destroy authority figures who underestimate him, reinforcing the theme of the Corleone family's relentless power. Well folks, that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.